The parable of the lost sheep. God never forgets you. It was a quiet evening in the hills of Judea. The sun dipped behind the distant ridges, painting the sky with soft hues of crimson and gold. The air was cool, and a gentle wind rustled through the tall grass. On that hillside, a shepherd counted his flock. 97, 98, 99. His voice faltered. "One is missing," he whispered. The shepherd's name was Eliab. He had been tending his sheep since boyhood, and each one was more than just an animal to him. They were part of his life, his purpose. He knew their faces, their cries, their movements. When one went missing, it wasn't just a number lost, it was a friend in danger. As the darkness grew thicker, Eliab looked down at the valley below. He could hear the faint howls of wolves and the distant rush of the river. Force might have told him to stay with the 99, but something stronger pulled at his heart. He grabbed his staff, took his lantern, and started walking toward the wilderness. Each step echoed a truth that lived deep within him. Love does not rest until it finds what was lost. The parable Jesus told about the lost sheep begins in such simplicity, yet it carries the weight of divine love. If a man has 100 sheep and one of them goes astray, does he not leave the 99 and go after the one that is lost until he finds it? The crowd that listened to him that day was silent. Shepherds, merchants, fishermen, they all knew what it meant to lose something valuable. But few had ever thought of God as a shepherd who would go searching for them. Eliab's footsteps crushed the dry twigs beneath him. His lantern flickered, casting long, trembling shadows against the rocks. He called out, "Lyra! Lyra!" the name of his missing sheep. The hills gave no answer. Only the wind whispered back. Hours passed. The stars came out, cold and distant. Eliab's throat burned from shouting. His feet ached from climbing. Still he pressed on. Finally, far in the distance, he heard it, a faint bleeding sound, weak but alive. His heart leapt. He rushed toward the sound, stumbling over stones, cutting his hands on thorns. Then he saw her, Lyra, trapped in a crevice, trembling, her wool caught on the rocks. Without hesitation, Eliab dropped his staff and reached down. "Easy now. I've got you." His voice cracked with emotion as he pulled her free. She struggled for a moment, frightened, but then relaxed when she felt his familiar touch. He lifted her onto his shoulders, wrapping her legs gently around his neck. "You're safe now. You were lost, but now you're found." As he made his way back under the moonlight, a sense of peace filled the night air. It wasn't just about finding a sheep. It was about something deeper, something sacred. When Jesus shared this story, he was revealing the very heart of God. Humanity is that lost sheep. Each one of us has wandered, chasing our own paths, falling into crevices of fear, guilt, and doubt. Yet God never stops searching. The parable reminds us that divine love is not distant or conditional. It is relentless. It does not abandon the broken, nor forget the ones who stray. When everyone else gives up, God keeps walking through the dark valleys, calling our names in the night.
The next morning, Eliab returned to the village with Lyra resting safely by his side. The other shepherds gathered around him. "You risk your life for one sheep," one said in disbelief. Eliab smiled and replied, "I couldn't sleep knowing she was out there alone. If you love something, you don't count the cost." He lifted Lyra into the pen where she rejoined the others. The flock stirred, bleating softly, as if they too rejoiced. Eliab looked toward the horizon, where the first light of dawn broke through the clouds. That moment reflected the joy of heaven itself. As Jesus said, There will be more rejoicing in heaven over one sinner who repents than over 99 righteous persons who do not need to repent. Centuries later, the message still resonates. You may feel lost, forgotten, broken, or unworthy. Perhaps you've made mistakes that weigh heavily on your heart. Maybe you've wandered so far from faith that you believe there's no way back. But the shepherd still walks the valleys, still calls your name, still refuses to give up. Even when you can't see him, he is searching for you. Imagine a young woman named Miriam living in the bustling city of Jerusalem, centuries after Eliab's time. She had grown weary of life, betrayed, abandoned, and angry at God. She stopped praying, stopped believing, and drifted into silence. But one day, as she walked past a small chapel, she heard a voice reading aloud the parable of the lost sheep. Something stirred inside her. Tears welled in her eyes. For the first time in years, she whispered, "Is it possible you still remember me?" And in that quiet moment, she felt something warm, like light piercing through darkness. It wasn't a voice she could hear, but a presence she could feel. Yes, I never forgot you. That is the power of this story. It isn't just about sheep or shepherds. It's about us. It's about how far God will go to bring one heart home. It's a reminder that divine grace doesn't wait for perfection. It seeks the broken, the lost, the forgotten. Every scar, every mistake, every doubt, it all becomes part of the journey back to love. When Eliab reached home that night, he didn't just find a sheep. He found joy, peace, and a deeper understanding of what it means to love without limits. And somewhere, high above the hills, perhaps heaven rejoiced too, because every time a lost soul finds its way home, the universe itself sings. You may be the 99 standing safely in the fold, or you may be the one lost in the wilderness, unsure if anyone remembers you. But this story carries one unshakable truth: God never forgets you. No valley is too dark, no distance too great. The shepherd's love will always find you. And when he does, he doesn't scold or punish. He lifts you up, carries you on his shoulders, and whispers, "Welcome home." That's the message Jesus gave in the parable, that the love of God is not earned, it is given, freely, endlessly, and personally. So wherever you are, no matter how far you've wandered, look toward the horizon, listen closely. You might just hear the footsteps of the shepherd coming for you, because you were never forgotten.